Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What up? What up? Welcome back to the Sneaker History Podcast. My name is Nick Engvall. Today I'm with my guy Robbie Falchi. Talk about some Jordans that might be a little weird, but are still cool. Right? Does that sound right, Robbie?
It sounds about right. I think a little weird comes down to when they released, because flavors definitely change. But I have a point I want to speak on that. But that's the gist. You definitely got it right.
Yeah. So before we get into it, though, want to start out as we do with what have you been rocking and what have you copped lately, or what are you looking to cop, I should say?
Yeah. I actually wore my Air Max Pluses today when I went up the street for a little walk around the neighborhood. I forget how much. Well, it's like the Air Max Plus is one of those shoes. It's definitely polarizing. And when I see them this like in hand, I don't love them all that much. But once they're on your feet, they go Super Saiyan and they become something completely more powerful. And I love wearing them. The Persian Violets. I wore it with a LeBron jersey. Just super big fan of those. And
it's definitely a great shoe.
Right. It's just, I really need a 12.5 in them. The size 12 runs a little tight, but I'll figure that out when I get more of them eventually. I'm always on eBay looking at pairs of those. And I feel like the Air Max Plus, even like the most random, ugly, general releases, still hold their value pretty well. They don't go too cheap.
Yep.
Which is for me. But I also, we're recording this on a Monday evening. This morning I copped the Sea Sucker bandana look from Kith, and I got the patchwork bandana shorts. So I'm pretty excited to get my hands on those. I've been trying to buy more clothes and not shoes really as much right now. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Not a bad choice.
No, it's just before we segue off to you, I ran 5 miles yesterday, and I've never ran that far in my entire life, like ever.
Dude, that's awesome. Congrats.
Here's the funny part. It took me 58 minutes, which is not fast. But when you've never done it, I consider it a win still. So
hell yeah, man. I mean, that's like I said on, whenever we were talking about that a couple episodes back, that's right where I'm at with it, where it's just like, I'd rather just get it done and take my time with it. And eventually it'll just get quicker naturally. So that's a really awesome accomplishment, man. So congrats. Definitely be proud of that.
And I was still dead. So yes, I'm slow, but did it absolutely murder my body doing it? Yes, it did. So
yeah, we need to we need to get some Sneaker History Run Club like t-shirts made or something. I think it's about time.
We need something with anti-chafing for my nipples, because I feel like when I start running that far, I get the chafe, it hurts.
Yeah, true.
Overshare.
Yeah. So I today I wore like question lows again. I kind of broke the seal on the nostalgia, if you will, because I busted out over the weekend. I wore the like the orange toe, like the originals from like '99, and that just made me like basically realize, like, why don't I wear this other stuff more frequently, or at least post it? Like, I don't post my shoes every day, so I was trying to, and then like coronavirus hit, and it's like, well, I'm not getting shoes out of storage, so I don't even know if I have a full year's worth of shoes in the apartment. I probably got like 100 pair, and usually I would swap them out and like get random stuff every week or two, so I had some fresh stuff to wear, and then I put other stuff away, so it was like new when I go back to storage and dig something out, right? And as I say that, I realize how insane that sounds. But wearing the questions, seeing the questions you got, and then just seeing everybody post their pickups, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get these like originals out. But then that just opened up a can of worms. So today I was wearing like the I don't know if you call it like it's almost like a Carolina blue and navy blue low tops that are, I think they're from 99 or 2000. And I kind of baby all of my questions because I know that I want to keep them around for a long time. So, if you buy any old Reeboks, you know that the insoles are terrible on them. They crumble, they get all sticky, they just get gross. So like on 90% of mine, I've already ripped those out and like threw in different insoles just to make sure that I can wear them, because the shoes actually hold up pretty nicely as long as you get that insole out of there. Because if you ever wear like an old shoe like that from Reebok, it's just like it turns into like glue almost, and then you've like got like chunks stuck to your socks, and it's all bad. But so that's what I wore today. And then as far as COPPIN, I actually didn't pick up anything. I'm really curious about this Zoom. What is it? The Zoom BB NXT.
Yeah.
Because I keep seeing all these like exposed Zoom shoes, and I'm like, all right, I want the like, the what's that, Alpha Fly, Zoom Fly,
the double stacked.
Yeah, I'm like, there's so many different versions of it, but the basketball one, man, every time I see somebody post like the release date or whatever, I'm just like, okay, that's probably going to be something that I'm actually going to try to get, just because I'm really curious about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's funny you say that, because I know exactly what shoe you're talking about, but there's just so many percentages and NXTs and EXTs, and it's hard to get them all nailed down off the top. Yeah. But the BB that you're talking about, the takedown model of the Adapt, pretty much, it looks really, really good. I'm definitely interested in that one too. And I just love that there's other people like me who don't like taking pictures of their shoes. Like, it's an honest chore for me to stop. I mean, it's maybe a little dramatic, but it's like, fuck, okay. I have these 6 shoes on. I got to sit here, get the angle right, post it with the hashtag. I've never been a fan of that. So listeners, if you also don't care about other people seeing online what shoes you have on, let us know.
Yeah. So like for me, I really want to post and be like, yeah, this is what I'm wearing, so I can talk to people about what they're wearing. But what inevitably happens is I'll like be shaking and the picture will be blurry, and then I've got to take it again. And then it's like, oh man, by the time you're actually the effort that you have to put in to take the photo, and especially if you're not like going anywhere, you know, like I'll put it on and take the dog for a walk, but that's all I'm doing today. So it's almost like, why would I put in all the effort? But I end up taking like, 10 photos, like trying to like, like make sure that I get the right angle, or I just am shaky naturally, like, especially in the mornings. But then I'm just like, I'll spend like 10 minutes trying to take a damn picture. And by then I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it. I probably have, hundreds of pictures on my phone that I've never posted because I'll just get frustrated and be like, yeah, I'm over this.
Preach. I mean, I would do it a lot more if I had like a publicist who would like, do all the internet part for me. Like, hey, my shoes are cool. Get this live for me. But
right.
I don't have that.
Yeah. We just need that, like, that's, get to that next level of celebrity so you can hire a publicist, stylist, all the, social media manager. Can I just not do any of these things and have somebody else do it, but like still have it be me somehow?
I mean, typically I'm a small business, so I got to hire an intern.
There you go. So if you're in Portland, just hit Robbie up if you want to take pictures of his shoes every day.
You hang out with me, you get smoked out and free lunch and dinner. And maybe not college credit, but close, maybe.
Life credit, it's more important.
Yeah, right. Credit, I'm just kidding.
I mean, and I can attest. I spent a couple days with Robbie in Portland, so I can attest the food is worth it. Yes,
I will take care of you.
All right. So before we get into the episode, I do want to read a review. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because it is definitely not a real name, but it's, I don't know, approximately 25 to 30 characters long and a bunch of different things. So the review says, wish I knew about it sooner. If you're looking for a good sneaker podcast to get you through your quarantine, you definitely found the best one. All three hosts add their own perspectives, and they each know so much about sneakers. I don't live around many people who love sneakers like I do, so it's refreshing to listen to these guys who feel the same way that I do about sneakers. I appreciate the way they talk about real world issues too, and spread a positive message during these times. Great podcast. So thanks for the review. It starts with an H, so we're just going to go with H. Appreciate you taking the time and dropping us a review on iTunes. If you're listening and you can do that, we would definitely appreciate it. It helps us grow the audience here, and that's what we're trying to do, is get a bigger community going and just connecting more people with this passion for sneakers. So, and also, as always, if you're interested in supporting us in any other way, you can check out patreon.com/sneakerhistory. Put random stuff up there all throughout the week. And then, you get early access to podcasts, exclusive episodes, et cetera, et cetera. But we really appreciate everybody supporting us. And we're just going to leave it at that and get into the episode.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know where I'll let you take this one, because I don't know where your thought for this started, but as soon as you sent the idea for this topic, I immediately thought of the Jordan 7 retro that kind of bubbled up. The gray, white, and purple.
Oh, the Flint 7s, I believe.
Yeah, Flint 7s. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't even put those on this list, but that's another one that's really, that's one that was very popular for quite a long time, but has definitely faded out into the obscurity of Jordan retros. When I put this list together, it literally, I should have came back and like put it in chronological order, but it was like train of thought order. So I guess technically, if we want to go by Robbie's train of thought, these are in order of my favorite then, because they came to mind first, second, and third, respectively. But I don't have any rhyme or reason. All I have to say is really, since 2000, maybe 13, we've seen a resurgence of, I would say, high quality, non-bulls or non-traditional colorways of Jordan retros. There's definitely a point that's ended now where Jordans really weren't all that coveted. You could definitely find various pairs sitting at retail. But, in recent years, there's been a resurgence. And back in 06 to 08, that's when we got a lot of obscure Jordans that really came to life years later, took on personalities of their own, and now either retroed to fanfare or wanting to have a retro of, like the Flints. So I'm talking like the Mocha 3s, the Thunder 4s, the Cool Gray 4s, Black Cats, those kind of things where they're not traditional, but they've been around the block for so long that a lot of people do consider them, true parts of the family. Nick, answer this for me. Like, let's say like the Black History Month Air Jordan 2 or the Radio Raheem Air Jordan 2. Do you consider those a true part of the Jordan 2 family?
I mean, I don't really think of them that way, right? Like most of the stuff like that, I think is like, okay, it's kind of outside of the realm of, I don't know. Like, I guess the best way to put it is like, I think, and you kind of hit it with like the timing, right? Pre like 06, 07, right? You would have had, a lot of colorways that were still relatively simple. And most of the time there was some tie to original colorways or storyline that was really easy, and then, eventually you get, I guess like 2004 or whatever, you get into like the green bean 5s and stuff like that. But most of the colorways were like really, really simple, like they could have been colorways for a team in the league. I guess that's how I would define it. So thinking about those 2s that you mentioned, to me, like once you get beyond like what a traditional team color would look like, whether that's a college or a pro team, that's where I think you get into like this weird, like outlier colorways like those.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it definitely does. We're going to test your theory or your statement there with some of these shoes. But I brought up those Jordan 2s because the Jordans we're going to be talking about kind of found a way to ingratiate themselves with the more favorable or OG Jordan retros. So at this point, in my eyes at least, these shoes have become a part of the true Jordan pantheon of retro colorways. So let's keep the theme started. Let's keep the theme of 7s going with our first shoe here. Instead of going with the Flints, I chose the Chambray. I don't know how to say that damn shoe, but the Chambray 7s, like the black and kind of grayish wolf blue trimmed 7s. They released in 2006. Again, another Jordan retro where if you would have asked somebody in 2011 what one of their favorite Jordan 7s were, you could have had a shot at them saying these along with the Flints. So Chambray 7, I think we need a retro of them. I think they do really well in a fall release. It kind of blows my mind how we've gotten Ray Allen variants of PEs to release, but we haven't gotten, this pair yet. But I'm gonna start the list off with those black nubuck beauties.
Yeah, I mean that's such a gorgeous shoe, and the colors I think is like kind of what I was saying, where it's like slightly off from like most of the team colors that you think of, right? Like the varsity colors or like the combinations that are like, oh, you relate that to being an Oregon Ducks colorway or a Bulls colorway or a Knicks colorway. And I think that this was like probably one of the best, both these 7s, talking about the Flints prior to, right? The fact that they did the contrasting pattern or the colors on the, paneling on the Flints was like a big deal because we hadn't really seen that in release form ever from the Jordan 7 before that point. And this colorway, I think, was like the balancing act of releasing these two shoes in that summer or that, spring, I guess, because these released around All-Star Weekend, I think. But this one is so just like nice. It's so clean. And I think like depending on where you're at in like the cycle of trendy colors, it could be like you could see any of like, the Kanyes of the world or the, Jay-Z's or whomever that you look up to in terms of like style or sneakers or whatever. You could see them rocking this like regularly, especially if we were to get a retro, because I just feel like it's just such a clean colorway.
I guarantee you both of those rappers have a pair of these in the closet, or at one point had a pair of these. I think these do a lot of right when you think about like the Chrome Jordan 2 or the Metallic 5. Once you have a black and kind of muted secondary color in a minimalistic use, I just think it does so well with Jordan Brand. I mean, it really plays into the fact that most people could wear Jordans to a graduation, a funeral, a cookout, or church. It's just like They fit anything. And the Chambray 7s, I'm definitely saying that wrong, right? Chambray? I think I'm saying it right.
I honestly don't know how it's said. Chambray. I don't know.
I've been reading for like 13 years and never once had anybody say it to me. So I'll leave you with that. But, the next shoe I have here is most certainly not as approachable or easily to rock as the Chambray 7. But I have one of my favorite shoes that most people don't know exists, or they think it's fake if they weren't around back then. But the Jordan 8 LS P-Pod from 2007, kind of like that dark denim blue with orange hints, kind of like if you did the Phoenix Suns 8 from like 2014 with just blue instead of like that gray and black. But P-Pods, I still don't know why they call them P-Pods. I would have thought they would have been green with that nickname. But they're just one of those shoes that always remind me of shifty eBay sellers that have like every fake Jordan and all the weird colorways, just putting stuff together, hoping somebody buys it. These shoes fall into that same vein, but I love them.
So I actually know why they're called the P-Pods. I think the shoe is dope. I think the interesting thing about it is the actual color green that's on that kind of plastic piece along the lower ankle is P-Pod green, according to Nike, which is where it gets its nickname. But the interesting thing about this particular colorway, and when it released in 2007, is Nike actually released a really interesting Air Max 90 that also was like P-Pod green, but it was like a plaid. It's got like the same general color tones, right? It kind of had like this like denim blue color, and then the swoosh was P-Pod green. It's probably not like a crazy popular shoe, and I have no idea why I remember that so much. But random fact about the P-Pod 8s is that there was a P-Pod Air Max 90 that also released around the same time.
Huh. So you're trying to tell me that that's green and not blue?
So I think the blue on the shoe is the like the full upper, obviously, and then the the orange and like weird color that's on the heel.
It's so listeners will hear me say many, many times, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I really can't tell." I legitimately struggle with color, like super bad. I didn't even really know that was green. I thought that was gray. That's super funny.
So actually the best way, actually, if you're online right now, look up the, it's like the Peapod Air Max 90 or like Tweed Air Max 90. You should be able to see the actual color Peapod is what the swoosh is on that shoe. And that's the same color that's on the accents on the TPU piece on the Jordan 8s.
I see it now. That's now you know. If you want to have a little star banner go across your, sound waves, it's impossible to do, but whatever. That's super cool to know. I did not know that. So I'm sure some listeners did not know that either. Now, this next one is not going to be the only women's shoe we have on here, but I'm going to hit you with the Harbor Blue 3 from 2007. That's a shoe that definitely looks like a girl's shoe. Now that, upon further inspection, you can see how that could be more geared towards women. But Harbor Blue, I don't see that colorway or that shade of blue used very often, if not ever, really, with Nikes. But I love white Jordan 3s. And it's the fact that it almost looks like ice, but it's not. It speaks even more to my soul. The blue Jumpman, the faint, almost baby blue elephant print, those are all great marks, but just the white with the blue outsole kills it for me. I love that shoe.
Yeah, so if this shoe released in my size, I would have definitely got a pair back in the day. I thought this was one of the best, this is probably one of the best women's releases, in my opinion, for quite some time. But it's also like those early releases, because there wasn't very many women's colorways that dropped. This one was just so far above, just super, super clean. And not to continually bring up Air Max 90s, but we've talked about the Air Max 90s months back, and I think we mentioned the Mr. Fantastic Air Max 90. And I don't know why I know this either, but I'm a wealth of useless knowledge that only people that listen to this podcast will appreciate. That Mr. Fantastic Air Max 90 technically was Harbor Blue as well.
Ah.
Yeah. It doesn't look the same in my opinion. But I think maybe it's because the shoe is all blue and then you've got dark accents on the 90, where it's on the women's 3. It's more subtle, I guess. But yeah, you're spot on though. Like that color is it's so good, man. It's like not quite UNC, not quite like a bright royal, just nice.
I equate it to if Duke and UNC did it and had a baby, it would be Harbor Blue. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, you see a lot of pairs now with yellowing heel tabs and yellowing midsoles. And it's a shame. We need this retro in men's sizes. It's just so summer ready. I could go on and on. Of all the shoes we're going to be talking about, these are top 2, I would even say, of pairs I would buy right now if I could get a pair in my size.
Yeah, fair.
So this next shoe might be the second one. It's a toss-up. We had the Mist Blue 4 from 2006. Kind of like if the Harbor Blue 3 and the Cool Gray 4 had a baby, you would kind of have the Mist Blue 4s. But for me, I always enjoy light blue and maize or yellow when they're secondary colors. When it's primary, it tends to just be too much for me. But when you have it based around gray, I think it just takes it to the next level. It's a colorway that looks like a team, like you said. It could be the WNBA Mystics colorway if you wanted to, but just totally approachable. I feel like they would kill it if it released last year, this year, or next year. It's definitely just a model where time has only made me want it more. And I think I have a thing for blue outsoles. I didn't really realize it until I look at these two shoes back to back and think that's probably my favorite feature, is this the blue outsole on a pair of Jordans. I really like that.
Yeah, I think this one's a really good one too. I think that I'm not quite as I don't like it on the gray as much, maybe. Like, that's kind of why I didn't go for those. But if this was done, white with like the yellow and the blue accents, I think it's even better. But still, like, this is such a solid colorway, and you could, I mean, honestly, like, going back to my example of like team colors, you could even see like a team adopting these colors with a cool logo, right? And like, to me, that's like always a good sign of where the color design for a shoe is. If you can take it and apply it to other, to like a real world setting of what that shoe would be, and it seems to fit, like, that's like, a hard yes for me.
I did my WNBA fans a disservice. In my brain, I was thinking Chicago Sky, not the DC Mystics. So yeah, the Chicago Sky uses exact color scheme, and the gray isn't going to be for everybody. Cool gray 4s, cool gray 9s. Pardon me. The gray 4s, cool gray 9s, and cool gray 11s have always been huge favorites of mine. So I'm definitely partial towards gray based Jordans. But once you put the blue outsole on it, fuck it, I'm gonna get off. Like, I love that. It looks so good.
While we're talking about the 4, though, before we change before we go to the next shoe, one thing that I love about this shoe and all the other shoes that probably some of the people will be like, what the hell is wrong with you? That leather suede heel tab is such a lifesaver when it comes to wearing Jordan 4s with shorts. Because if you wear Jordan 4s with, like, the black plastic, or not black, but like the black cements that have the plastic heel tab, or militaries, whatever other colorway, right, that has that plastic heel tab, that thing cuts into your Achilles so bad if you really wear them regularly. And to me, like, I don't need the plastic. I love the visual of the plastic in terms of like the contrast and the originalness of it. But once the leather and the suede versions of the heel tabs came out, I was like, yep, that's for me. It's way more comfortable. Like, the Black Cats was like the first of that for me. It was like, once I got those, all the 4s that I want all the 4s to have that, so I can just wear them with shorts.
I've heard you say that before, and it always makes me wonder if you're like diving into swimming pools with your toes pointed, walking down the pool. I've never had an issue with the heel tab cutting my foot, even in shorts, even with low cut socks and shorts. Never. Wow.
Okay. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't know. Listeners, let us know. Maybe my legs and the angle of my ankle to calf ratio is just completely fucked, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think that every time
I'm definitely not jumping into pools.
I mean, it's a really weird thing for me to say, but swimming and diving my entire life, watching divers, pointy toes. So I was like, man, that heel tab, I don't know how it's cutting you, but I'm sorry to hear that. This next 4 would not cut your back of your foot, because it's the Lightning 4 from 2006 with the soft heel tab. The big brother to the Lightning 4, to the Thunder 4. Just another shoe that I think I speak for all sneakerheads who enjoy Jordan 4s would welcome this shoe back with open arms, probably crying a little bit too, because they're so happy to see it. It's just, it's bold, it's bright, it's vibrant. You mostly see something in this color scheme, or this color blocking method, used with red and blue a lot. I think of like the We the Best 3s and various Jordan 3s recently, and even like Jordan 9s and 12s. They're bringing back all these shoes that were once red, now blue, and vice versa. And yellow doesn't get used enough. I can probably count the amount of yellow Jordans, I think, with 2 hands. Now that I think about it, it would definitely take 2 hands, but not my toes. So there's not a lot of them, but just you don't see this kind of color blocking method used with yellow nearly enough on Jordans. And these are, of all the shoes I would pay $1,000 for in the sneaker world, if I could get a guaranteed, flawless, structurally sound midsole, I would pay $1,000 for these right now. Like, fuck, they're delicious. I would eat them up.
Yeah, these are super dope. I mean, the prices on them got so crazy for a while. Like, you would see like $2,000, $3,000 on some of those shoes for a while. But I agree. This would be. It's about time this retro. I mean, we already saw the retro for the Lightning version, right? So why not? I mean, the Thunder version. So why not bring the Lightning version back too?
We'll do that 5 more times before we're done talking about the shoe. Trust.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that same conversation thread, the Thunder 4s, I own a pair, and they were so shitty of quality. I mean, my midsoles chipped within like a day and a half, and I'm not exaggerating. They instantly started chipping. And I have a pair of Laser 4s that I bought off of Sneaker Galactus, and those just started chipping when I started wearing them, and they're fucking 15 years old. So it's just like, it's crazy how the Jordan 4s can really swing in terms of construction. A lot of people like to bring up the shape of it, which never really bothers me. But if you bring this shoe back, you can't give us doo-doo construction. It has to feel premium. It has to feel like something we've waited for, 14 years for, probably 15 by the time we get it. But this is a shoe you just can't bring back. You have to bring back correctly. And I don't say that about a lot of shoes. I'm normally just happy to have them. I do not feel that way about these.
So I think, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of production from Jordan Brand, like the 4s from 06, the 14s from 07, the 7s from around that era, all were very questionable in terms of the materials, specifically in the paint, but even the toe box on, if you got a pair of Lightning 4s when they came out, odds are that one of the shoes in the box already had a weird crease in the toe box. Like the same thing was true for the military's 4s back then. And I think, that's kind of where my thought process around even this conversation is, I would love to see these colors brought back in today's standards, because even though we might see a lot of shoes sitting for the past 2-3 years, the materials and the structure and the paint have been pretty good on newer releases. Not everything. I know there's exceptions to that, but generally speaking, it's been pretty good for the past couple of years from Jordan Brand.
I can second that, because the white cement 4s, the gray 4s, those have both been, I opened up the box, and outside of minor glue issues, the materials themselves were much, much better, and they haven't cracked yet. So those are very important things to me. This next shoe is going to be a big change of pace from the Jordan 4. Definitely one of the more obscure Jordan retros, or let's say Jordan models of all time. We have the Jordan 16 Cherry Wood from 2001. Nick, I know you're a big fan of shrouded shoes. Me, myself, and I would not ever wear it with the shroud, but take that shroud off and you have a shoe that I am very much interested in seeing come back. What do you think about the Cherry Woods?
Yeah, so I'm 100% in on all Jordan 16s for the most part. The shroud is one thing. I just think that the general aesthetic of the shoe is super dope. But I also think that even though we've had retros, it's still super underappreciated. There's, I think that era between basically between the 14 and the 20 is just all questionable. Whether Michael wore the shoe or not, people are kind of meh, Jordan's whatever. They don't care about it as much. Maybe even through the 23, right? The 23 was the first time that I think sneaker culture as a whole was wow, the Jordan, the signature model is back. So The 16 to me is one of those shoes that I regret not picking up when it first came out, and probably need to have. This colorway is by far my favorite, but I also like the Midnight Navy colorway too, and I probably just should have picked up that retro when it came out a couple years back, but I didn't. So here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people were in 2001 were definitely resistant to non-Jordan colorways. And the Cherry Woods, for an initial release, definitely broke that mold. Even still to this day, it's not really red. It's not really brown. It's not really the easiest pair of shoes to wear unless you're going to be rocking, maybe some khakis and a white tee. But nonetheless, it's a shoe that needs to get more love. And it's just, it's eye candy in my book.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
This next shoe, it's a pack, so there's two of them, but it's another OG colorway or an initial release of a higher model shoe. So it's the regional pack Air Jordan 19s. So you have the white and red, and then the black, white, and gum. I know if you're not a Mellow fan, you probably weren't a huge fan of the Jordan 19 when initially released back in 2004. But that's when I first started getting into shoes. And to this day, I have a weird love for the Air Jordan 19. I love it when they release shoes regionally, geographically, whatever you can do to get multiple colorways of a shoe that isn't available, across the whole market footprint is super cool to me. But it's probably because I like the 19 why it's on this list. But definitely not your most traditional looking Jordan, but surely traditional colors. I put it on here because I want to see them retro, and I think they'd work in 2020 and 2021.
Agreed. I think you could go with almost any of the colorways that released too.
The next one here is another higher up Jordan, and it's the Warrior Pack Air Jordan 2011. There was a red one. It was like red and gray. There was like a baby blue and gray, and then a black and neon green. I bring up all three because I feel like since 2011, we've seen each of those three colorways, be more and more popular throughout the years. How many times have you seen a black and neon green pair of Nikes? I answer that for you. It's a lot. And just the boxing on them was really cool. It's a shoe that doesn't get a lot of love at all. I would definitely say it gets less love than the Jordan 19 and 16 respectively. But just I think when we take a look back at Jordan's 15 and up, the 2011 and especially any one of these three Warrior Pack shoes should garner a certain level of respect because they're well executed. It's a good performing shoe, and it looks good in the streets. So those are the three things that really Jordans should check off when they release.
Definitely agreed. And I think the 2011 had such like high quality details. And, we've talked a lot about Jordans over the years with like glue stains and various like imperfections. I think I had three different versions of the 2011 over the years. Unfortunately, none of the Warrior Packs, but to me, like the quality on these was really, really nice. And I don't think I ever saw any that had like obvious, glue stains or paint overspray type paint stuff. And I always love the kind of like complete, uniqueness that came from that like hand burned, varnished kind of leather, just because it, looking closely, your shoe never looks the same as someone else's, which I thought was really dope. Are you muted?
I'm trying to think of a bad colorway, and I really can't think of one. There was a second version of the 2011. It was like the 2011 SE or something. I can't remember what it was called. Those were garbage. But the traditional 2011, you almost can't go wrong with any one of them. Now, these next, one more here. It's a Jordan 3. I probably should have included it before we talked about 19s and 16s and such. But it's definitely one of the more beloved non-OG colorways in my book. It's the Do the Right Thing Jordan 3 from 2007. And I think I'm talking slowly here. So I'm trying to go back through my forum memory books. And if I remember correctly, people were not really feeling those at the time. And they got really popular about 3-4 years after. And now here we are, almost 15 years later and still thinking about them. So do you have any particular thoughts about the Do the Right Things, the baby blue beauties?
I mean, I think, again, this is like one of those situations where the color, so I wasn't into it. I still am not like a huge fan, only because I think there's better options out there now. Like like you mentioned on the Mist 4s, right? Those colors as accent colors to me work better than as like primary colors on the shoe. So I'd rather see like, let's say like like the powder blue 3s, that to me was a better play with like a light blue upper. But I think there could be ways that you could flip it and make it better than what it is. So it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people thought the same way you just described, but outsiders who didn't get a chance to buy them, I've always enjoyed that shoe. It's kind of like if there's like a blueberry Sprite, like the soda, mm-hmm. it would be personified in those shoes. You can't personify an inanimate object with another inanimate object, but whatever.
But we just did.
I just did it. It's a shoe podcast. Test me. So I tried to say this before the Do the Right Things, but the next three we're going to group together. You alluded to another one I did not get to bring up. It's a Jordan 5 party here. We have the Green Bean 5 from 2006. We have the Burgundy 5 from 2006. We have the Sunset Orange 5 from 2006. We have the Dark Army 5 from 2009. And I'm going to throw one more in there, the Carolina Blue 5 from, I don't know, 2007, I think. Or is
the black with the Carolina?
Yeah, it's pretty much a metallic with Carolina lining.
Yeah, I think 06 or 07, one of the two. Yeah. Yep.
There's a theme there. This really out there, awesome shoes. And I put these all together and I thought about them all at the same time because the Jordan 5 is one of my, it changes weekly, but let's just break it down and say top 5 models of all time. And I feel like each of these different shoes utilized that makeup perfectly. So the metallic tongue on the Jordan 5, very recognizable. Let's just go ahead and put that all across the shoe. Okay, you have a pair of green beans. Burgundy 5. Okay, we've done, black metallics. Those kind of have nubuck suede. Let's just do that again with burgundy. Perfect idea. Sunset Orange 5s. There's a laser pair with, I believe, were for women only. And then there's the orange pair that don't have lasers. Maybe I'm getting those flipped around. I think one of them the Sunset Orange without the laser were for women. And then the lasered pair were for men.
Yep.
I believe I got that right. Just lasering was very popular at that time. Go look up pictures of Jordan 4s or Spizikes. No, pardon me, Dub Zeros. But this lasering was very cool in 2006. So pairing that with orange, I think it worked really well. I love it. And then probably my favorite of all of them, the Dark Army 5s. That's a color scheme that I wear a lot in the fall. And when you have a leather Jordan, They work really well in bad weather. This would be February through, I'm going backwards, February through November, or November to February if you're not dyslexic, rock for me. I love the kind of army shade with the kind of orangey yellow. Perfect. So I threw a lot of shoes at you, Nick. Any of those you like, you don't like?
So I think this era of the Jordan 5 is possibly one of the best, mainly because there was so much variety. And even thinking about, some of the other simple colorways like the Sport Royals, you've got like just kind of your basic color palette, right? But you could see Penny Hardaway rocking those or something like that. To me, that era too, like my favorite is probably the olives, the burgundies. I think, so many people overlook those because, when you think of Jordans, you think of Chicago colors, and you think of the varsity red, and you think of that like bright hit of red, right? And the burgundy 5 was so different that, to me, I think, not even, the color, but like also material, right? I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. So that one stands out as like, there's such a wow factor to that. But those would be the two, I think, for me, that if they did retro again, I would definitely grab a pair.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those two, and obviously plus the other 4 I mentioned, are perfect. But you said that was a great run for the Jordan 5. I would say it's the best run for any Jordan model with new colorways ever. Like, think about how many doo-doo Jordan 9s you get a year, how many doo-doo Jordan 2s you get. Insert whatever Jordan model plus doo-doo, and you probably got a Jordan release. These, though, to not have the attachment of Michael Jordan playing in any of them, and for us to be talking about them this much, this much down the line, this far down the line, is powerful. I would argue for people to name 4 non-OG colorways that they would legitimately want from 3 years ago of any given Jordan model. And here we are rattling off just Jordan 5s from 2 years.
Yeah.
And I guess the Dark Armies were 2009. That's an outlier. But just this was the time that really like kicked my sneaker love into overdrive, where it's just like, oh, look at those. I was like a dog chasing cars. If you kind of want to go to Batman Dark Knight territory, like I wouldn't know what to do if I had all these shoes. I would just be so ecstatic. But just every month, every couple months, just Jordan 5 fire, crazy times. So this next shoe was kind of debated before we got on the air here. I have the Sport Blue Jordan 3s from 2014. Mike recommended the Blue Motorsport 4s from, I think, 2017. So it's a 3 versus a 4, very common battle. They're both blue. They're both black also. They're both flips of their respective models. So you have pretty much a flip on the Fire Red 4 and a flip on the Black Cement 3. Can't go wrong with either one. I kind of wish I didn't sell my Sport Blue 3s. I got rid of those real quick. They were going for good money. And I never even thought about buying the Motorsport 4s, but I really wish I did in retrospect. That's what I got.
Yeah, I think both those colorways are pretty good in hindsight. I do think the material on the 3s was a little subpar, if I remember right. It was like one of those Jordan 3s that felt a little plasticky, which I'm one of the people that doesn't necessarily care about that, because that just means it's a winter rainy shoe for me. Uh-huh. But I think, like, me being into cars and stuff, and like the motorsport storyline and the colorways that exist, that for me was one that I just should have picked up that I didn't.
Jordan Brand, I love you. you know that's not even a question, my love for you. But 2014, I would say 13, 14, 15, just the worst construction of retros I've ever seen in my time collecting shoes. All the 6s were just god awful. The great 5s were literally plastic. Yeah, you're spot on about those 3s. Now, this next pair we actually did get a retro of, and I slept on them because 2s don't fit me well. I'll say that a million more times. But the Mellow Air Jordan 2s from 2004 and 2018, respectively, we don't need to do a deep dive in these. They're super clean. I think they've become one of the best looking Jordan 2s ever, just because there aren't a lot of high quality ones to choose from. And that's not a knock on this colorway. It just shows how good it is to instantly catapult itself to, I would say, top 4, Mount Rushmore status with Jordan 2s.
Yeah, I agree. And I also slept on these on the retro as well. So
I definitely thought I could get them for a petty $10 cheaper. I don't know what I was thinking. Something this minuscule, and it never panned out for me.
Yep.
This next pair here is another very recent release. It's from last year, and you either forgot about it or you were excited about it. It's the Gym Red Air Jordan 9 from 2019. And I put this on the list because it's one of the few times, and I'm calling back to the the Bulls over Broadway Jordan 10s and the red Jordan 3s that released over All-Star Weekend 2020. Sometimes you try to go back to a model that Michael wore and put a new spin of Bull flavor into it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't do it for you. This Gym Red 9, had Michael played at that time, this would have been a colorway we saw on court. I almost guarantee you. Incredibly clean. I think the Jordan 9 works the best when it's either white and black with a colored stripe going across the midguard. But just one of the cleanest new Jordan retros I've seen, I would say in the past, 3-4 years. Just super duper good looking.
I agree. I think if you were like into the PEs back in the day too, this was like a Derek Anderson colorway. He played in the low top 9 with this like patent red, mudguard, and I think spot on with the Michael analogy, right? Like if these were out when Michael was playing, everybody would want them. So definitely underappreciated shoe.
This next one I would say is even more underappreciated. I tried these on like weeks after they released at a Nike Town, and I liked them, but I didn't buy them. Now I love them. And it's the Dirty Bread 13, another shoe I could very easily see Mike wearing. Another instance of a non-Bull colorway being exceptional. It's just, it's a black and red Jordan 13. It kind of looks like the Breads. It kind of looks like the playoffs, but it looks like neither at the same time. I think it had enough of its own flavor to work. And I liked how, the materials played. Sometimes the 13 can get crow's eyes really bad around the toe box. These, surprisingly, from what I've seen, scoping out worn pairs on eBay, they've aged pretty well for being worn.
Yeah,
but just
100%
a super,
I think
super wearable pair of 13s.
I'm not one of the people that is too picky about the 13s where, people want mesh or 3M or whatever. I think generally speaking, the right colors on that shoe look really dope. I mean, I don't know that I don't find myself wanting to wear 13s like I did when they first came out. But I still just love like the side profile of the shoe, and this colorway is like, perfect in many ways. Yep.
These are great wintertime boots. So we're going to jump way back in time, 9 years before the Dirty Breads. This is a reach. A lot of people might not have heard of this one. It's the Ceramic 13 Low from 2005. This was not a train of thought. This was Robbie Googling Air Jordan 13 colorways, trying to find something I wasn't thinking of. And I saw these and I had the aha moment. Oh yeah, I remember these ones. And the second I saw them again, I entertained the idea of going on eBay and looking for them.
This is such a dope
That's
colorway.
exactly what I did.
It reminds me
I would
of
buy
like
these right now.
I know that this is not the right color combination, but it reminds me of like a Syracuse. If there was a Syracuse Air Jordan 13 Low for like Carmelo, this would be it would be very similar to this. And you know, I think it's just I think this shoe actually looks super, super dope as a low, which for most of the Jordans, I could go with or without, but this particular colorway was always one that just looked different compared to the rest of the stuff that was coming out at that time too. So I would definitely cop the retro of this.
There was honorable mention. There was a Jordan Team Flow that released about the same time, and the 13 Low and the Team Flow, they're distant cousins. And there's some colorways that I saw on the Team Flow that would have looked really good on the Jordan 13. That's for another day. But anywho, the last shoe we have on the list here is last, not because I don't like it or it's lesser than any of the other shoes. It's because it's so damn good, I forgot that it's not an OG. And we have the French Blue Air Jordan 12 from 2005 and 2016, respectively. This shoe still fetches a pretty penny on the resale market because it looks, I mean, I don't like 12s. It's my second favorite 12 of all time. It looks so good. I mean, that shade of blue with the white and the trim of the 12, the silver eyelets, everything just fell into place.
Agreed. I mean, this is like
a good looking shoe.
One of those shoes when it first came out, you know, Melo, there's like I think we might've posted it recently, but there's like a shot of him backing down LeBron their rookie year. And to me, like that's one of those, you know, between that and like Kobe wearing it in his free agency year, you know, this is like you said, you don't even think of it as a non-original shoe, right? Like it feels like an OG shoe just because those guys wore it, and not to mention all the other players that we probably, you know, could go through and point out. But it is really crazy that it's, you know, something that was a retro. Doesn't feel like that at all.
Man, that Melo LeBron photo, that's like in the NBA scrapbook. It's such a good photo. That's like memories on memories. Kobe got him early. So remember that. The sneaker free agency happened before 2005. I believe it was 2003. They gave that shoe to Kobe 2 years early to wear.
Yep.
And we will mic drop on that. Rest in peace, Kobe. Somebody sell me a pair of those French Blue 12 for less than $400. Damn it! Like it's crazy. But yeah, that's one I slept on in 2016, and I feel it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those shoes where
when I think about,
I think it slips your mind pretty easily, but then when you see it, you remember all of the like images of it. You're like, damn. This is really, really good. Yeah.
It's like, am I trying to buy a house or am I trying to buy a $400 pair of Jordans?
Exactly.
You tell me. I don't know
let
the
us
answer.
Know what shoes, non-original Jordans, you think we should have mentioned? What did we miss? Is there anything out there? I'm sure there's stuff. If we were to sit and take a little bit more time, we could obviously debate and go back and forth. But I feel pretty confident with this list.
I do too. I'm sorry it jumped around from like 14, 2005, 2016, but that's why I put
All
the
right,
dates.
well, we appreciate you guys rocking with us for another
welcome.
episode. Excuse me. We appreciate you guys rocking with us for another episode. And obviously, give us a follow if you haven't already at Sneaker History on all the platforms. You can find me at Nick Engvall on all the platforms. Robbie, let them know how they can find you.
You can find me at Sneaker History. We're almost at 70,000, which means we're almost at 1 million. So
right on. Well, we appreciate everybody listening.
Don't even
catch
follow
you next
me.
time. Peace.
Just go follow Sneaker History. Peace.
What up, y'all? This is Nick again. First, I wanted to thank you for listening to the Sneaker History Podcast. It really means a lot that you would spend a part of your day rocking with us. Before you take off, I wanted to ask a few favors. If you're looking for more content from the Sneaker History crew, head over to patreon.com/sneakerhistory. Our Patreon members get access to exclusive episodes of the podcast, our latest merch, giveaways, and much more. You can become a member for as little as $5 a month, and it really goes a long way supporting the crew. Next, make sure you're signed up for our email newsletter. We share updates about the footwear business, some of our favorite finds and deals, and other sneaker-related news a couple times per week. I like to think of it as a one-stop shop for the sneaker game, or at least a work-in-progress one-stop shop for the sneaker game, if you know what I mean. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. Whether online or in person, social distancing in effect, of course, it helps make the sneaker community a better place, and you never know what conversation and opportunity might come from it. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.